On Wednesday evening, the champagne bubbles tickle my nose as I stand frozen in my sister's living room. Jessica's words echo in my ears, impossible to process. And Mom and Dad have officially transferred the house to me. The crystal flute slips from my fingers. Time slows as it tumbles toward the hardwood floor Jessica had insisted on refinishing last month. The crash silences the room, all eyes turning to me, as the champagne spreads across the floor like spilled secrets. Jessica, her hand protectively cradling her barely visible pregnancy, stares at me with a mixture of annoyance and triumph. Her boyfriend nods approvingly beside her while my parents suddenly find the ceiling fascinating. My face drains of color, my lips parting but finding no words. The room spins slightly as I struggle to understand what Jessica just announced so proudly, as if stealing my future deserved applause. What do you mean, transferred? My voice emerges barely audible, unfamiliar even to my own ears. The deed is in my name. The deed is in my name. Jessica laughs, the sound dismissive and sharp. Oh, that was just temporary. For the paperwork. Mom jumps in, moving toward me with her hands fluttering nervously. You're still young, Emmy. You'll buy another one. Jessica needs stability for the baby. My gaze locks onto the mantel where framed mortgage papers sit prominently displayed. My mortgage. The papers I signed after emptying my savings account to rescue my family from a foreclosure that now seems suspiciously convenient. For 11 years, I worked double shifts in Denver General's ICU. 11 years of holidays missed, birthdays celebrated days late, relationships that withered under the weight of my dedication to saving both lives and dollars. I kept a small notebook in my scrubs pocket, tracking every penny saved toward my dream home. Last April, I hit $182,000 in savings. Enough for a substantial down payment in a neighborhood I loved. I'd scheduled viewings for that weekend. Then the desperate call came. Emmy, we're losing the house. Mom had sobbed into the phone. Only 30 days left before foreclosure. I canceled my viewings, withdrew my entire savings, put down $182,000 on a $370,000 house, taking on a $188,000 mortgage in my name alone. The closing attorney had smiled as he slid the papers toward me. Congratulations, Miss Sullivan. You're a homeowner. And now Jessica stands in that home, claiming it as hers. That's my house. My voice finds strength, rising from somewhere deep inside me. I paid for it. I signed the papers. Father clears his throat, stepping forward with that familiar look of condescension he reserves for when I'm being difficult. Now, Emily, let's not make a scene. Family helps family. Jessica strokes her stomach again, the gesture theatrical. My baby needs a stable home. You have your apartment. The apartment I kept, because they insisted they needed time to move their belongings from the old house. The apartment that was supposed to be temporary until I found renters for the house I bought my house. How is this even possible? I demand, feeling eyes on me from every corner of the room. The deed was in my name. Mother clinks her glass loudly, forcing a bright smile. Come on, everyone. Let's toast to Jessica's new beginning. Just like that, the attention shifts. Glasses raise. Congratulations pour forth. I stand alone, the spilled champagne seeping into my shoes, my future stolen in a single announcement. I slip away to a corner, hands trembling as I pull out my phone. I text my cousin Sarah, the only relative who ever takes my side. Something's very wrong. Need help. Her reply comes instantly. Meet me tomorrow, bring whatever paperwork you have. Across the room, Jessica accepts congratulations like a queen at court. Mom refills glasses while Dad tells his favorite story about Jessica's first word being home. No one notices me standing alone, watching my family celebrate stealing my life savings, my sacrifice, my future. But as I observe them laughing, something shifts inside me. A quiet resolution forms, solidifying with each passing second. They think this is over. They think I'll accept this betrayal as I've accepted every other slight and disappointment. They're wrong. My heart pounds against my ribs as I slip back into my parents' house through the side entrance. The celebration continues in the living room, laughter floating down the hallway like poisonous gas. I check my watch 11 minutes until someone notices I'm gone. The door to Mom's home office creaks slightly as I push it open. Moonlight spills through Venetian blinds, casting prison bar shadows across the antique desk where family decisions have always been made without me. I freeze at a sound from the hallway. Footsteps. A pause. Then they continue past, fading toward the kitchen. Breath held, I slide behind the desk and pull the chain on the small lamp. Think like a nurse, I whisper to myself. When patients hide symptoms, we look for physical evidence. Mom has always been meticulous about paperwork, a trait I inherited. Every mortgage statement, every bill, lives in labeled folders in the oak filing cabinet. The top drawer slides open with a familiar rasp. My fingers trace across neatly labeled tabs, utilities, insurance, and medical, until I reach real estate. I pull the thick folder, nearly dropping it when voices grow louder in the hallway. Emmy's probably just in the bathroom, Jessica says, her voice carrying. You know how she gets when she's upset, always hiding away instead of talking like an adult. I sink to the floor behind the desk, the folder clutched against my chest. When the voices pass, I spread the documents across the carpet. Original purchase documents for the family home from 20 years ago. Recent mortgage statements showing my payments. And then I see it. The warranty deed with my name printed clearly as owner. Beside it, a quitclaim deed with what appears to be my signature transferring ownership to Jessica Sullivan. Except it isn't my signature. The looping E is all wrong, the E missing its characteristic tail. My hands shake so badly I nearly drop my phone as I photograph each document, the flash momentarily blinding in the dim room. Tucked behind the deeds, a letter on attorney letterhead catches my eye. I scan the contents, my nurse's training keeping my breathing steady even as rage builds behind my temples. Advise against proceeding with this course of action. Potential fraud implications. Forgery carries significant penalties. More footsteps approach. I quickly return everything to the folder, sliding it back into place. The side door offers silent escape, just as the office light flicks on behind me. Do you need the rest of that coffee? Sarah asks the next morning, nodding toward my untouched mug. We sit in the corner booth of Denny's, far from other customers. Michael, her attorney friend, studies the photos on my phone, his expression darkening with each swipe. This is textbook fraud, he says finally, looking up. The signature isn't even close. Did you sign anything giving them permission to transfer the house? Nothing, I say. I signed the original mortgage papers, that's all. Sarah excuses herself to make a call, pulling out her county employee ID badge. I've worked with records for years. They'll help us. While she's gone, Michael explains the legal implications in terms that make my stomach turn. A quitclaim deed transfers whatever interest you have in the property to someone else. But this signature, he shakes his head. Sarah returns, her face flushed. The foreclosure notice on your parents' original house? Never existed. I checked records going back 3 years. What? The word comes out as barely a whisper. Michael's face hardens. They created an elaborate lie to access your savings. The truth crashes over me in waves. My mother's handwriting on notes attached to the forged documents. Jessica's name on every transfer paper. My father's passive signature as witness to the fraud. Your mother orchestrated this, Michael says quietly. Jessica benefits, but the planning. These are your mother's notes. Stay with me, Sarah offers, reaching across the table. My guest room is yours for as long as you need. I'll file emergency papers today to freeze the property status, Michael adds, refusing my offer to pay. We'll get your costs covered when we win. I have the papers to save. Back at the hospital that afternoon, my colleague Deborah appears at my locker with a casserole dish. The ICU team is behind you, Emmy, she says simply. My phone buzzes with a message from my father. Your mother is having chest pains from the stress. Is this what you want? Before I can process this, a text from Jessica appears. If you fight this, I'll make sure everyone knows what kind of sister you really are. The final blow comes that evening, a certified letter from my family's attorney threatening a countersuit for harassment and false claims. In Sarah's guest room, I stare at the ceiling as moonlight paints unfamiliar shadows. I still love them, I whisper to Sarah when she checks on me. How could they do this? She sits beside me on the bed, because they thought they could get away with it. Sleep evades me through the night. I trace the cracks in the ceiling with my eyes, my mind replaying every family dinner, every holiday, searching for signs I missed. When morning light finally streams through the window, a clarity settles over me like the calm after a code blue. I sit up, pulling my nurse's notebook from my bag. On a clean page, I write 3 words: evidence, strategy, justice. They don't get to take my future. I say to my reflection in Sarah's guest bathroom mirror. Not without a fight. What would be your first step if you discovered your family had stolen your house? Would you confront them directly or seek legal help first? Next week, the hospital lobby buzzes with the usual Monday morning chaos, visitors clutching coffee cups, staff hurrying between departments, the squeak of wheelchairs against polished floors. I'm reviewing a patient chart at the nurse's station when Deborah taps my shoulder, her expression tense. Emily, she whispers, your mother and sister are in the lobby. Security called up. My stomach drops. After 3 days of ignored calls and texts, they've brought the battle to my workplace. I hand the chart to Deborah and smooth my scrubs, steeling myself. The elevator doors open to reveal my mother dabbing theatrical tears with a tissue while Jessica stands beside her, one hand resting on her barely visible pregnancy, the other clutching an oversized purse. Several visitors have turned to watch the spectacle. Emmy. Mother wails when she spots me, voice carrying across the entire lobby. Why are you tearing our family apart? After all we've done for you. I approach them with measured steps, conscious of curious eyes following me. This isn't the place for this conversation. Jessica steps forward, both hands now cradling her stomach, face contorted in a mask of distress. The stress could harm the baby, Emily. Is that what you want? Please lower your voices, I say, noticing Carl from security hovering nearby. This is a hospital. We wouldn't have to come here if you'd answer our calls. Mother snaps, her tearful facade briefly slipping. Your father hasn't slept in days worrying about what you're doing to this family. A group of nurses from pediatrics slow their pace to observe the unfolding drama. 2 of my ICU colleagues stand near the coffee cart, watching with concern. This is exactly what they wanted to humiliate me, to make me cave under public pressure. I've asked you to leave, I say firmly. Not until you drop this ridiculous legal nonsense, Mother hisses, grabbing my wrist. Her fingers dig into my skin. Carl steps forward. Ladies, I need to ask you to leave. We can't have disruptions in the patient areas. My daughter works here, Mother protests, her voice rising again. I have every right. You have the right to schedule a visit during her break time, Carl interrupts, but causing a disturbance is against hospital policy. Jessica bursts into fresh tears. She's trying to steal my baby's home, after everything we've done for her. The absurdity of her claim almost makes me laugh. Carl guides them toward the exit as Mother continues her performance, loud enough for everyone to hear. Your sister needs that house, Emily. The baby needs stability. How could you be so selfish? The doors close behind them, but the damage is done. Whispers ripple through the lobby. I stand frozen until Nurse Wilson touches my elbow. Dr. Wilson wants to see you, she says quietly. I'll cover your patients. The walk to the hospital director's office feels endless. Colleagues avert their eyes or offer sympathetic smiles as I pass. My career has always been separate from my family drama until now. Dr. Wilson's assistant waves me directly into his office. I brace for the professional repercussions of having my family spectacle disrupt hospital operations. Emily, doctor, Wilson says, rising from behind his desk. His weathered face shows concern rather than displeasure. Sit down, please. I perch on the edge of a chair, hands clasped tightly in my lap. I apologize for the disturbance, sir. It won't happen again. That's not why I called you in. He sits across from me, leaning forward. Your family has been calling staff members, including me, with some concerning accusations. My face burns with humiliation. Of course they wouldn't stop at a public scene. They've called every department head, he continues. What can we do to support you? The question catches me completely off guard. Support. Me? Emily, you've been with us for 11 years. You're one of our most dedicated nurses. His voice softens. Family should protect, not exploit. You're family to us here. Something breaks inside me. After days of holding myself together, of presenting a calm face to the world while my family systematically destroys my life, the unexpected kindness shatters my control. Tears spill down my cheeks before I can stop them. I'm sorry, I whisper, fumbling for a tissue. Don't apologize. Doctor. Wilson pushes a box toward me. Take some time. Tell me what's happening. The story pours out of me the years of saving, the false foreclosure, the forged documents, the betrayal. Doctor. Wilson listens without interruption. his expression darkening. Take emergency leave, he says when I finish. With pay. I'll arrange coverage for your shifts. I can't ask for special treatment. You didn't ask, I offered. His tone brooks no argument. Take care of yourself first, Emily. The ICU will still be here when you're ready to return. Walking back to the nurse's station, I feel lighter somehow. My family has tried to isolate me, to make me doubt myself, but they've miscalculated. For every person they've tried to turn against me, others have rallied to my side. Deborah meets me halfway down the corridor. Your cousin Sarah called. She's organizing all the documents for court. Thank you. And Michael left a message. He's filing something called lease pendens and a temporary restraining order today. She hands me a stack of message slips. Also, we've worked out a schedule. Someone from the unit will be with you whenever you need company. My throat tightens. You didn't have to do that. We protect our own, Deborah says simply. The apartment hallway feels unusually quiet when I return home that evening. I'm sorting through my mail when I spot them, my parents, sitting on the floor outside my door like abandoned packages. Father stands first, his face drawn. Your mother hasn't slept in days because of this. Mother rises more slowly, her eyes red-rimmed but calculating. After everything we sacrificed for you. I unlock my door without responding, but Father blocks the entrance. Emmy, please, just talk to us. Something in his plea sounds genuine, but I've heard too many false words from him. I meet his gaze directly. I have the original documents, I say, my voice steady. I know there was no foreclosure. The hallway fills with a sudden, powerful silence. Mother's face hardens, but Father's shows the first flicker of shame I've seen. His shoulders sag as the weight of my words hits him. Jessica said it was just paperwork, he mumbles. That you'd understand it was for family. Don't you dare blame this on Jessica, Mother snaps, but her voice lacks conviction. I'll see you both in court, I say, stepping around them into my apartment. The door closes with a soft click that feels more final than a slam ever could. My phone vibrates with a text from Michael. Good news, court approved the temporary restraining order. They can't sell or transfer the property now. A second message follows. Sarah found something interesting. The notary who stamped the fake documents is Jessica's friend from college. I sink onto my couch, absorbing this new information. With each piece of evidence, their scheme unravels further. Criminal charges are now a real possibility. I text back, I won't pursue criminal charges if they cooperate. Not out of mercy, out of efficiency. I don't want a protracted battle. I just want my house back and my family out of my life. Later that evening, I sit in Sarah's garden, a box of old family photos open beside me. Summers at the lake, Christmas mornings, my graduation. Memories of a family that existed before greed corroded everything. Sarah finds me there as twilight softens the edges of her flower beds. You're allowed to grieve the family you thought you had, she says, sitting beside me. I kept trying to earn their love by giving more, I whisper, tracing my finger over a fading image of us all smiling at the camera. But it was never enough. It never would have been. She covers my hand with hers. Some people are bottomless pits, Em. With a deep breath, I close the lid on the box of photos, sealing away the family that never truly existed. Tomorrow, Michael and I will meet to discuss our legal strategy to go to court. He mentioned the possibility of a civil theft claim with treble damages over $60,000 in additional penalties. I don't want their money, I tell Sarah as we head inside. I just want my house back. Michael says they've hired Blackwell, she warns. He's aggressive. So am I reply, when protecting what's mine. My phone buzzes with an unknown number. I almost ignore it, but something makes me answer. Emily? The voice is hesitant, familiar. It's Tom, Jessica's boyfriend. Sarah raises her eyebrows as I put the call on speaker. I didn't know what they did to you, Tom continues. I want to help. Why would you help me? I was there when your mother and Jessica discussed the forged documents. His voice trembles slightly. This isn't right. I can't be part of this. You'd testify to that? Gasped. Yes, he says firmly. I'll tell the court everything I saw and heard. After ending the call, I turn to Sarah, a strange calm settling over me for the first time in weeks. Everything just changed. On Thursday that week, the courthouse is intimidating with its marble columns and echoing halls, but I stand straight-backed beside Michael as we enter courtroom 3. My ICU badge remains pinned to my blouse, a small reminder of who I am beyond this nightmare. Ready? Michael's voice is steady, his briefcase containing weeks of meticulous preparation. I nod, scanning the room. Jessica sits in the front row, her pregnancy now prominently displayed in a tight dress. Mother dabs theatrical tears with a handkerchief while father stares ahead, stone-faced. Judge Harriman peers over reading glasses as we approach. Sullivan versus Sullivan. Property dispute involving alleged document falsification. Michael moves with calm precision, laying documents before the judge like placing surgical instruments on a tray. Your Honor, we have evidence of signature forgery, notary fraud, and deliberate misrepresentation. The judge's eyebrows rise as she examines the documents. Her finger traces the signatures side by side, the genuine one I provided from my mortgage papers versus the clumsy forgery on the quitclaim deed. And you are the sole mortgage holder? She asks me directly. Yes, Your Honor. I provided the entire down payment of $182,000 and signed for the remaining mortgage amount. Jessica's attorney, a slick man in an expensive suit, rises. Miss Sullivan clearly intended this as a gift to her family. Her sister is expecting a child. Mr. Blackwell, the judge interrupts, pregnancy doesn't entitle anyone to commit fraud. His face reddens. My client was not aware of any irregular documentation. I keep my expression neutral, though my heart pounds against my ribs. When Jessica's attorney suggests I'm punishing an innocent unborn child, I feel Michael tense beside me, but I remain composed. Your Honor, I say quietly, this isn't about my niece or nephew. This is about a deliberate scheme to take my life savings. 2 hours later, we exit with an extended restraining order and a trial date. The first real victory. That evening, Sarah calls. Emily, check Facebook. Your mother's gone public. Mother's post appears on my screen. A tearful plea about her selfish daughter taking a pregnant sister's home, complete with an old family photo where she cradles young Jessica while I stand slightly apart. She's always known exactly how to play the victim, I whisper. By morning, the local paper features Jessica cradling her belly, claiming I've become unrecognizable since my promotion at the hospital. Father approaches 3 of my colleagues in the hospital parking lot, asking them to talk some sense into Emmy. But something unexpected happens. Tom, Jessica's boyfriend, comments on Mother's post. The truth isn't being told here. Within hours, Sarah shares county records proving no foreclosure ever existed on my parents' original home. Dr. Wilson posts about my years of dedicated service, including holidays worked so colleagues could be with their families. The community is listening, Michael says during our strategy call. People recognize integrity when they see it. The hospital issues a statement standing firmly behind me. The neighborhood association where the house is located reaches out, concerned about property values if fraudulent transfers are permitted. In the second hearing Monday next week, the bank officer testifies I was the sole applicant for the mortgage. Jessica's friend breaks down under questioning, admitting she stamped the notary seal without witnessing any signatures. During a recess, Father approaches me in the hallway, his shoulders slumped. Your mother went too far. I should have stopped this. For the first time, I see the weakness that allowed this to happen, not malice but cowardice. In the courthouse lobby, Jessica and Tom argue in heated whispers. When she grabs his arm, he pulls away sharply, walking toward the exit. My family begins to fracture. Mother stops appearing at hearings, sending only her attorney. Jessica hires separate legal representation from our parents. Their unified front crumbles under the weight of exposed lies. Michael delivers the news with quiet satisfaction. The judge's preliminary ruling favors your ownership claim. They have no legal standing. The house is yours. That afternoon, their attorney offers a settlement. Return the deed if I drop all claims. Not enough. Michael responds at my direction. Full ownership restoration and all legal fees paid by them. I'm washing hospital antiseptic from my hands that evening, when my phone buzzes. Jessica's name appears on the screen with a message that makes me freeze. We need to talk. Alone. I stare at those words, water still running over my fingers. After everything, the lies, the manipulation, the public smearing of my name, she wants to meet. The old Emily would have rushed to accommodate. The new Emily turns off the faucet, dries her hands methodically, and considers her response with the same care she gives critical patients. On Wednesday morning next week, the pounding at my door echoes through my apartment like thunder. I freeze, coffee mug halfway to my lips, recognizing the distinctive rhythm, 3 sharp raps, followed by a pause, then 2 more. Mom's signature knock. "Emmy, open up! We need to talk." Her voice carries through the door, loud enough for the entire floor to hear. I set my mug down carefully, breathing deeply the way Dr. Wilson taught me during our counseling sessions. The clock reads 7:14 a.m. Of course they'd come early, catching me before my shift. When I open the door, they surge forward like floodwaters. Mom's eyes are rimmed red, mascara smudged beneath them. Jessica stands slightly behind, one hand protectively cradling her belly, which seems to have doubled in size since I last saw her. Dad hovers at the edges, his face a mask of practiced concern. "The neighbors are watching," I say quietly, stepping back. "Let them." Mom wails, but she moves inside anyway. "Everyone should see what you're doing to this family." Jessica sniffles dramatically, dabbing at her eyes with a tissue. The baby kicked all night. The stress is affecting her. Dad closes the door behind them, then leans close. "This will destroy your mother's health," he whispers, threat wrapped in concern. Her blood pressure is through the roof. They position themselves strategically around my small living room. Mom near the window, where morning light catches her tears. Jessica on my sofa, hand still on her belly. Dad standing with arms crossed. A coordinated assault. "Your father might lose his job over this," Mom announces, voice trembling. "His boss is friends with our attorney." Jessica nods vigorously. "And everyone at the hospital is talking. Dr. Renner told me nurses are choosing sides." "If you drag this through court, nobody wins," Dad adds. "Legal fees will bankrupt all of us." I listen to each threat, noting the practiced delivery, the way their eyes flick to gauge my reaction. For 11 years, I've watched patients' vital signs, learning to spot the moment when panic turns to acceptance. I recognize the same patterns in my family now, the escalating desperation, the synchronized approach. "Would you like some coffee?" I ask calmly. My response throws them. They exchange glances, momentarily unbalanced by my composure. "We didn't come for coffee," Jessica snaps. "I know why you came." I move to the small desk in the corner where a manila folder sits, precisely centered on the polished surface. "But before you say another word, you should know what I have." The folder makes a satisfying sound as it lands on my coffee table. Mom flinches slightly. I remove the contents methodically, placing each document in a neat row. "This is the original warranty deed with my signature." I tap the paper. "And this is the quitclaim deed with what appears to be my signature. Except I never signed it." Mom opens her mouth, but I raise my hand. The gesture silences her instantly, a power I never knew I possessed until now. This report is from a certified handwriting analyst confirming the forgery. Another document joins the row. These are my bank statements showing every mortgage payment I've made since closing. Fiverr Manit. With each new piece of evidence, the color drains from Mom's face. Jessica shifts uncomfortably on the sofa, eyes darting between the documents and the door. County records prove there was never any foreclosure on the family home. The paper makes a crisp sound as I place it down. And this statement from Jessica's friend admits she fraudulently notarized the document. Dad sinks slowly into the armchair, hands trembling slightly. Finally, we have Tom's sworn affidavit describing in detail how this plan was developed, including dates of meetings and who said what. Jessica's phone buzzes. She fumbles it from her purse, face paling as she reads the screen. "The prosecutor has copies of everything," I say quietly. The silence that follows feels physical, like pressure against my skin. Through my window, sunlight illuminates dust motes dancing in the air between us. "Emmy, you have to understand," Mom begins, her voice honey-sweet now. "We were only trying to—" "You didn't just steal my house," I interrupt, surprising myself with the steadiness in my voice. "You stole my trust." Jessica's phone buzzes again. Her fingers tremble as she reads. "Tom says the police just left. They're asking about the notary." Fear makes her voice shrill. "He's leaving me, says he can't trust me." Mom's composure finally cracks. "What have you done?" she demands, the sweetness evaporating. Dad stares at the documents, realization dawning in his eyes. "Criminal charges?" he whispers. "Tom says they mentioned fraud and possible jail time." Jessica's voice rises. "Mom, you said this would be okay." You've always been so independent, Emmy. Mom tries again, reaching for my hand. Jessica needs. What Jessica needs isn't mine to give anymore, I say, pulling away. I walk to my bedroom and return with a document bearing the court's official seal. This is a settlement agreement. Signed today, and we proceed no further with criminal charges. You wouldn't send your own mother to jail, Mom says, but uncertainty wavers in her voice. I didn't want to, I answer truthfully. That's why I'm offering this alternative. Dad reads the settlement terms aloud. Full restoration of property ownership to Emily Sullivan, payment of all legal fees. 90-day no-contact provision. His voice falters. Jessica's face crumples. What about the baby? Where will we live? The same place you lived before you tried to steal my house, I reply, offering a pen. One by one, they sign. Dad first, then Jessica. Finally Mom, her signature, a sharp, angry scrawl. The pen scratches against paper, marking the end of something I can't quite name. When they leave, the apartment feels suddenly vast. I sink onto the sofa, and only then do my hands begin to tremble, delayed adrenaline coursing through me. My phone rings. Michael's name flashes on the screen. Congratulations, he says after I tell him the news. The house is officially yours again. I stuff. I stare at the signed settlement on my coffee table. Then why don't I feel like celebrating? A gentle knock at my door reveals Sarah, a bottle of wine in one hand, 2 glasses in the other. Because winning doesn't heal betrayal, she says softly, stepping inside. I move to the window, looking out at the city stretching before me. Buildings gleam in the morning sun, streets filling with people starting their day, each carrying their own private battles. I need to decide what happens next, I whisper, more to myself than to Sarah. The settlement papers sit on my coffee table just as secured but offering no peace. In the reflection of the window, I see not just myself, but the shadow of the woman. I'm becoming stronger, certainly, but carrying a wound that victory alone cannot heal. The for sale sign swings gently in the breeze as I walk the realtor through the property one final time. Sunlight streams through freshly cleaned windows, illuminating hardwood floors that hold no fond memories for me. I never intended to live here. I explained to Marjorie, the silver-haired realtor who's handled everything with remarkable efficiency. The closing price of $395,000 will clear the mortgage and recover my savings. Her eyes crinkle with understanding. Sometimes the best investment is in your own peace of mind. 3 months after the legal battle ended, I'm signing papers on a charming $310,000 cottage in Greeley. The little 2-bedroom with its wraparound porch and mature maple trees speaks to me in ways the larger house never did. As I press pen to paper, there's no family hovering, no hidden agendas, just my steady hand claiming what's rightfully mine. Congratulations, Miss Sullivan, the attorney says, sliding the final mortgage document across the table. My voice doesn't waver when I respond. Thank you. 2 weeks later, laughter fills my new living room as Sarah raises her glass. To Emily, who taught us all what courage looks like. My small housewarming gathering bears no resemblance to that fateful night at Jessica's. Dr. Wilson occupies my reading chair, his booming laugh punctuating Michael's animated story about courthouse antics. Hospital colleagues cluster around the kitchen island I picked out myself, helping themselves to food they brought to celebrate my fresh start. To chosen family, I respond, raising my own glass, who stand by you in truth. The golden afternoon light filters through windows I selected, falling on walls painted colors I chose. Each element reflects decisions made for me alone. No compromise, no sacrifice, just authentic preference. Sarah helps me hang a watercolor in the hallway, while Michael pretends to measure with exaggerated precision. 2 millimeters higher on the left, he insists, winking at me. In your dreams, Sarah retorts, adjusting it perfectly on the first try. Doctor. Wilson approaches with a carefully wrapped package. A retirement gift came early, he says, placing it in my hands. Inside lies an antique brass nursing lamp, its patina telling stories of generations of caregivers. For your study, he explains. A reminder that healing others begins with healing yourself. A reminder that healing others, nursing lamp, win the salve to the mesis potiment. Later that evening, Amanda, our newest ICU nurse, helps collect empty plates. Her shoulders hunch slightly as she mentions her parents' disappointment in her career choice. They wanted law school, she confides. Sometimes I wonder if I'm letting them down. I recognize the familiar weight in her voice. Your worth isn't measured by their approval, I tell her, the words flowing from a well of hard-won wisdom. Trust what calls to you. Her eyes widen. I never thought of it that way. After everyone leaves, I carry a tray of seedlings to my backyard garden. The setting sun paints the horizon amber and gold as I kneel in soft earth, digging small homes for perennials that will return year after year. My hands work methodically, placing roots in fertile soil. When the mail arrives, I recognize Jessica's handwriting on a small envelope. Inside are photos of my niece, pink-cheeked and innocent. Hello, little one, I whisper, feeling no resentment toward this blameless new life. The next morning, I hang a small embroidered sign in my entryway. Family is earned, not given. Beside it grows a wall of photographs. Sarah, laughing at the lake. Michael triumphant after winning my case. Hospital staff at last year's Christmas party. Among them hangs an empty frame with a note attached, for whatever comes next. Standing in the doorway of my home, I'm silhouetted against the warm light within. For the first time in years, my shoulders carry no burden but their own. My lips form words meant only for myself and these welcoming walls. Finally, truly mine. My brother Lucas never calls before 8 in the morning, not unless something's wrong. So when my phone lights up at 6:42 a.m. with his name, my stomach tightens before I even answer. Thalia. His voice comes through unusually hesitant. Are you sitting down? I'm standing in my kitchen, the morning sunlight streaming through the windows of the craftsman home I'd fallen in love with 3 years ago. The coffee maker gurgles its final notes. Lucas, what's going on? I pour the fresh coffee into my favorite ceramic mug, the one with hand-painted violets from that little shop in Carmel. He takes a deep breath. Why is your husband checked in at an Aspen resort with your sister-in-law? The mug slips from my fingers, shattering against the hardwood floor. Coffee splashes across my bare feet, but I barely register the heat. What? My voice sounds foreign to my own ears. Carter's sister works at the Elevation Lodge. She just called him because she recognized Tessa checking in with Miles yesterday. I thought maybe. I mean, Miles told you he was going to Aspen, right? Detroit, I whisper. He told me he was in Detroit for a compliance audit. The world tilts sideways. Miles isn't in Detroit. He's in Aspen, with Tessa. I trusted him with everything, I say, my voice hollow. Our finances, our future, even the deed to our home. My thoughts race back to last year, sitting across from Miles at our dining table as he pushed papers toward me. His voice carried that familiar, reasonable tone he used whenever he wanted something his way. It's just simpler for financing if the deed is in my name, he had explained, tapping the document with his Mont Blanc pen. My credit score is higher. I remember nodding, even as discomfort prickled at the back of my neck. I had transferred $110,000 from my personal savings for the down payment money I'd been setting aside since my first job at 22, but his name alone went on the deed. Later, at the housewarming party, I overheard him telling our friends about his house, while I stood in the doorway holding a tray of appetizers. The crown molding sold me. He'd said as if he'd made the decision alone, as if my contribution didn't matter. I step over the broken mug and move to my laptop. My hands shake as I pull up Miles's office contact information, 3 rings before his assistant answers. Rebecca, hi. It's Thalia. Is Miles in today? A pause. No, he's not scheduled in this week. I thought he was taking personal time. My throat constricts. Right, thanks. I hang up and sink into the kitchen chair. No compliance audit, no Detroit. My phone buzzes with a text. Miles. Signal spotty in Detroit. Call you tonight. Love you. The trembling in my hands stops. A strange calm settles over me as I open our banking app. 3 withdrawals in the past week. $5,000, $3,000, $7,500. All from our joint account, the one where my recent promotion bonus had been deposited. I close my eyes and see Tessa at our rehearsal dinner, champagne flute in hand, leaning toward Miles. She's different from your usual type, she'd said, glancing at me. Less vivacious. Miles had laughed it off, but something in his eyes had shifted, something I chose to ignore. My phone rings again. Lucas. I'm coming over, he says before I can speak. I look around at the house I'd believed was partly mine. The mortgage statement addressed only to Miles Harrison. The furniture I'd picked out but he'd paid for. The life I thought we were building together. The revelation hits me with physical force. My marriage wasn't just failing, it was a carefully constructed lie. And now I was watching it collapse like a house of cards, leaving me to wonder what would remain when the last card fell. I pick up a shard of broken ceramic from the floor. The cut it leaves across my finger feels distant, less painful than the truth I'm finally facing. Next day, I find the folder by accident. Miles always keeps his home office pristine, everything in labeled files, organized by year. It's while searching for our tax returns that I notice a cream-colored folder tucked behind his golf tournament plaques. No label, just there, hidden yet accessible. The first promissory note stares back at me, dated 8 months ago, $23,750 to Tessa, Miles' signature beneath hers, the paper slightly wrinkled as if it had been handled repeatedly. Then another, $31,600, and another, $39,950. My fingers tremble as I total the amounts. $95,300, nearly $100,000 loaned to my sister-in-law. I sink into Miles' leather desk chair, my heart hammering against my ribs so violently I press my palm against my chest. The chair that cost more than our dining table, the one he insisted on buying while we were cutting expenses. This isn't just an affair, this is calculated. The next morning, I walk into First National with my driver's license and wedding certificate. The branch manager, Mrs. Winters, studies my identification with practiced efficiency, then gestures toward her office. "What can I help you with today, Mrs. Harrison?" "I'd like to review all our accounts." I maintain eye contact despite the knot in my stomach, joint and individual. Her fingers click across the keyboard. I notice her wedding ring, modest, worn smooth by decades. "It appears your joint checking account has had several large withdrawals in the past 3 months. She turns the monitor slightly. "And there have been transfers to an account ending in 6,742. "Is that our savings account?" Mrs. Winters glances at me, sympathy flickering across her features. "No, that account is solely in Miles Harrison's name." I keep my back straight, my voice steady. "Please show me all transactions from our joint accounts for the past year." The evidence accumulates like a mounting snowdrift. Miles has been systematically draining our joint funds into his personal accounts. There's 3 credit cards in my name I never applied for, all carrying balances near their limits. During a bathroom break, I check Tessa's Instagram. There she is, posing in St. Bart's last month, wearing the diamond tennis bracelet I'd admired at Tiffany's Brace. The caption reads, "Sometimes you need to splurge." The date aligns perfectly with a $7,500 withdrawal from our account money Miles told me was for emergency car repairs for his sister. I remember Miles' reaction to my promotion last year. His smile didn't reach his eyes. "That's great, hon," he'd said, then immediately changed the subject to his golf handicap. I'd interpreted it as distraction. Now I recognize it as resentment. Back at home, I spread the documents across our dining table, the promissory notes, bank statements, credit card bills. My throat tightens as reality crashes down. The house I love with its craftsman details and morning light that streams through stained glass isn't legally mine despite my $110,000 down payment. The mortgage statement arrives monthly with only Miles' name. The deed lists him as sole owner. The promotion bonus I'd been so proud of gone. The savings I'd accumulated before marriage, the only funds he couldn't touch, suddenly seem pitifully inadequate against what I've lost. My credit score, once a point of pride at 812, now damaged by debt I never created. I check it on my phone and watch the number load. 614, below the threshold for a decent apartment rental. I'd built my career on logistics management, I whisper to the empty room, yet failed to see the systematic dismantling of my own financial security. My hand shakes as I dial the number for my personal bank, the account I'd opened at 22 with my first real paycheck. The account Miles had called cute when we merged our finances, suggesting I keep it for sentimental reasons. Account balance for ending in 8,873? The automated system asks. I punch in my PIN, holding my breath. Your current balance is $17,423.16. Relief floods through me. He didn't find it. Or perhaps he didn't think it worth taking. I sink into the dining chair, my fingers curling around my phone. $17,000. Not enough to start over completely, but enough to give me options. Enough for a lawyer. As I stare at my remaining savings, I wonder, should I confront them immediately with what I know, or quietly gather more evidence while planning my exit? Direct confrontation might be satisfying, but strategic patience might save what I'd worked so hard to build. The sun sets beyond the windows of the house that was never truly mine. My decision crystallizes with the fading light. Miles taught me one valuable lesson: the power of patience in executing a plan. And I am very, very good at planning. 2 days later, we should refinance the house, Miles says casually over dinner, fork hovering above his salmon. Rates have dropped again. I look up from my untouched plate. His timing is perfect, right when my guard should be down, in the warmth of our kitchen with the scent of dill and lemon hanging in the air. Refinance? My voice stays neutral despite the alarm bells clanging in my head. Just to lower our monthly payment. He smiles, that disarming smile that once melted my defenses. The paperwork's in my office. We need to sign by Friday to lock in the rate. I nod, buying time. What's the rush? Miles shrugs, chewing deliberately. It's a limited time offer. Oh, and Tessa called today. Her boutique supplier in Milan has some exclusive inventory available, but she needs capital fast. I told her we could help. Another loan? The words escape before I can filter them. His eyes narrow slightly. It's an investment opportunity, Thalia. She'll pay us back with interest once the shipment sells. Just like the last 5 investments, still outstanding. How much? I ask. 15,000 should cover it. He says it like he's suggesting we order takeout. My stomach tightens, but I manage to swallow my bite of fish. I'll think about it. Later, while Miles showers, I sit cross-legged on our bed with my laptop, the blue light illuminating my face in the darkness. My search history fills with phrases I never imagined typing: financial abuse in marriage, community property laws Oregon, hidden assets divorce. The clock reads 1:37 a.m. when I finally close the laptop. Sleep evades me, replaced by memories that now carry new weight. Miles insisting I close my separate checking account 6 months after our wedding. His irritation when my promotion came with a salary that approached his. The way he questioned every purchase I made while upgrading his golf clubs without discussion. The following morning, I start a spreadsheet. Methodical columns track every transaction from our accounts for the past 3 years. Each row tells a story: money transferred to accounts I never approved, withdrawals that coincided with Tessa's social media posts showcasing new jewelry or weekend getaways. I document everything with the same precision I bring to managing supply chains at work. Dates, amounts, patterns. The spreadsheet grows into a damning financial autopsy of our marriage. My phone rings Thursday afternoon while I'm reviewing home equity laws. Thalia, it's Carter. Tessa's husband's voice sounds strained, unfamiliar. My hand tightens around the phone. Carter, hi. I think we need to talk. He pauses. Something doesn't add up with these trips Tessa's been taking. Relief washes over me, sudden and startling. I'm not alone anymore. When can you meet? I ask. That evening, Miles corners me in his home office, waving the refinance papers. The room smells of his sandalwood cologne and printer ink. You haven't signed these yet. His tone suggests I've forgotten to pick up milk, not potentially signed away my claim to our home. I look at the papers, then at the man I once believed would never hurt me. What exactly am I signing, Miles? Just standard refinancing documents. He sighs, extending a pen. You've always been overthinking things. Just sign the papers, don't you trust me? The question hangs between us, a challenge. 3 years ago, I would have signed without hesitation, eager to prove my trust. But trust, like so many things between us, has been systematically undermined. Trust isn't blind, Miles. It's earned through honesty. My voice comes out steadier than I expect. I'd like to review these with my own financial advisor first. His face hardens. Since when do you have a financial advisor? Since I realized I needed one. I hold his gaze, my heart hammering against my ribs. I manage multi-million-dollar logistics systems for a living, Miles. Did you really think I wouldn't eventually notice what's happening with our finances? Something flickers across his face, surprise, maybe respect before his mask slips back into place. Fine, review them, but I need these signed by tomorrow. He leaves the office, footsteps heavy on the hardwood. I exhale slowly, my hands trembling less than they would have a week ago. The next day, Carter meets me at a coffee shop 3 towns over. The distance feels necessary, like we're planning a jailbreak. Tessa's been hiding these. He slides several credit card statements across the table. Found them when I was looking for our tax documents. I scan the pages, my suspicions confirmed in black and white. Charges at the Elevation Lodge in Aspen on dates that perfectly align with the emergency loans Miles convinced me to give Tessa. She told me they were business trips to meet vendors, Carter says, his voice hollow. I believed her. I recognize the pain in his eyes, the special ache of realizing you've been a fool for someone you loved. Miles dismisses everything I say lately, I tell him, like I'm being irrational for asking questions about our finances. Carter nods. Tessa does the same thing, makes me feel crazy for even asking. For the first time in weeks, my shoulders relax slightly. Carter actually listens without interrupting or dismissing my concerns. The simple act feels revolutionary after years of Miles subtly undermining my perceptions. I think they're planning another trip, Carter says. Tessa's been secretive about her schedule next month. I straighten in my chair, an idea forming. Miles has a travel rewards account I still have access to. We could track their next booking. A plan takes shape between us over cooling coffees. The power of having an ally of being believed straightens my spine and steadies my voice. That night, I watch Miles pack for what he calls a quick business trip to Chicago. He tosses his wallet onto the dresser while gathering toiletries. When he steps into the bathroom, I move swiftly. His blue debit card slides out of his wallet, replaced by my library card of nearly identical dimensions and color. The weight of the real card in my palm feels like reclaiming a small piece of power. Through the bathroom door, I hear water running as Miles brushes his teeth, unaware that his carefully constructed house of cards has just lost its foundation. My brother Lucas calls it elegant vengeance. I call it logistics management. 2 days later, the confirmation email arrives while I'm sipping my morning coffee. I verify every detail one last time, 2 first-class tickets rerouted from Aspen, Colorado to Fargo, North Dakota. Mid-February, when temperatures reliably plummet below 0. I select their return date for 5 days later, knowing Miles hates cold weather almost as much as he hates being inconvenienced. Are you sure about this? Carter asks, leaning against my kitchen counter. His eyes, so similar to Tessa's but infinitely more honest, watch me with careful concern. I've never been more certain of anything. I close my laptop with a satisfying click. The beauty is in the details. I used Miles' travel points instead of the credit card so he won't get any alerts. And their connecting flight in Minneapolis gives just enough time for them to grab lunch without questioning their final destination. Carter nods slowly. And the card switch? I open my purse and remove Miles' wallet, taken from his briefcase while he showered this morning. The Navy library card nestles exactly where his debit card should be. Both rectangular, both plastic, similar enough at a glance. Size and placement matter in sleight of hand. I say, returning the wallet to his briefcase. He never actually looks at his cards until he needs them. That evening, Miles packs with military precision, folding each shirt with practiced efficiency. I notice he packs his new cashmere sweater, the one I've never seen him wear to work. Detroit in February, he sighs dramatically. At least the audit team booked a decent hotel. I nod, careful to keep my expression neutral. Don't forget your debit card for incidentals. He pats his wallet. Already packed. I'll call when I land tomorrow. Morning brings a flurry of activity. Miles kisses me goodbye, a perfunctory peck that barely grazes my cheek. I watch from the doorway as he loads his suitcase into the Audi, noting how he checks his reflection in the driver's side window before sliding in. 12 hours later, my phone lights up with his name. "Hey babe," he says, voice dripping with false cheer. "Just checked into the Elevation Lodge. You should see this place, the mountain views are incredible." My heart pounds against my ribs, but my voice remains steady. Elevation Lodge? In Detroit? A brief pause. Did I say Detroit? Sorry, working on 2 projects at once. The audit team is in Aspen, not Detroit. Last-minute change. He laughs, the hollow sound I now recognize as his tell. The cell reception is spotty on the mountain. Gotta run to a meeting. Love you. The line goes dead. I stare at the phone, a strange calm settling over me. 3 hours later, another call. This time, panic edges his voice. "Thalia, something's wrong with my cards. They're all being declined." "That's strange," I say, stirring the pasta sauce I'm making for dinner with Carter and Lucas. "Are you sure you brought the right ones?" "Yes, His voice cuts off, then returns with forced control. "Listen, I need you to wire money to the hotel. I'm in a difficult situation." I set down my wooden spoon. "We? Who's we, Miles?" Another silence, longer this time. In the background, I hear a female voice, Tessa's unmistakable whine. "It's not what you think," he starts, "but we both know it's exactly what I think." "You're right about one thing," I say calmly. "You are in a difficult situation. But it's not Aspen. Check your boarding pass, Miles. You're in Fargo, North Dakota. The forecast calls for -15 degrees tonight." His sharp intake of breath is audible. "What the hell did you do?" "The same thing you did. I made a unilateral decision about our shared resources." I lean against the counter. "How does it feel to be on the receiving end?" "This is insane," he hisses. "You can't just strand us here." "Actually, I can. Just like you could drain our accounts without discussing it. Just like you could put our house solely in your name despite my down payment." The calm in my voice surprises even me. "Consider this a lesson in consequences." "Thalia, please." His voice shifts to the gentle, reasonable tone he uses when manipulating me. "Wire the money and we'll talk about everything when I get back. I'll explain everything." As he speaks, I glance at Carter and Lucas, who have paused their conversation to watch me. Their presence steadies me, reminds me I'm not alone in this fight. When Miles calls begging for money to get home from this mistake, I hesitate. Should I rescue him and preserve a chance for explanation, or let natural consequences unfold for someone who had been systematically deceiving me for years? "No," I finally say. "Figure it out yourself." I hang up as Carter slides a folder across the table. Inside are bank statements, screenshots of Tessa's social media posts showing luxury purchases on days matching my emergency loans to her, and a timeline of suspicious transactions. "The lawyer can meet us tomorrow at 2, Lucas says, serving himself pasta. "She's already drafting settlement terms." I nod, a weight lifting from my shoulders. I've frozen the joint accounts, he can't touch anything else. By morning, the texts start rolling in. Miles' messages evolve from commanding, "Unfreeze the accounts now," to pleading, "Please, Thalia, I'm sorry, we made a mistake." Tessa takes a different approach, posting a vague rant about family betrayal on Instagram. Within hours, 3 mutual friends have texted me asking what's happening. I don't respond to any of them. Instead, I meet with the lawyer, sign the necessary paperwork, and arrange for Miles and Tessa to be served the moment they return. Let them spend a few more days in the frigid emptiness of North Dakota. It's nothing compared to the cold reality waiting for them at home. 2 days later, after the incident, Miles paces across our living room, his expensive leather shoes clicking against the hardwood floors I'd lovingly restored last summer. Beside him, Tessa perches on the edge of the sofa, her designer handbag hastily tucked behind a throw pillow. The afternoon sun streams through the windows, highlighting the tense lines around their mouths. "Thalia, this has all been a terrible misunderstanding." Miles spreads his hands in a placating gesture. His voice carries that familiar, reasonable tone that once made me feel safe. The investments we made with those funds would have benefited both of us. "Both of us?" I repeat, keeping my voice steady. Tessa leans forward, her eyes wide with practiced sincerity. My business opportunity needed short-term capital. I was going to pay everything back with interest once the deal's closed. She tugs at her silk scarf, a nervous habit I've noticed over years of family gatherings. We never meant to hurt you. Miles moves closer, his Collinetha one I bought him for Christmas now smelling cloying and artificial. Look, I know you're upset about Aspen. That was poor judgment on our part. He sighs dramatically. But we need to be reasonable adults here. If you force this issue, I'll have no choice but to sell the house. The threat hangs in the air between us. The house I found, the house I paid for, the house that isn't legally mine. Reasonable, I echo, the word tasting bitter on my tongue. I walk to the sideboard where I've placed a leather binder. My fingers trace the cool surface before I pick it up, the weight substantial and reassuring. Let's talk about reasonable. Miles rolls his eyes slightly. If this is another spreadsheet. It's not just a spreadsheet. I open the binder and place it on the coffee table between us. It's evidence. The first page contains copies of the promissory notes, 15 in total each, with Tessa's flourishing signature at the bottom. Next come bank statements highlighting transfers from our joint account, followed by screenshots from Tessa's Instagram showing her wearing a new watch the same day she claimed a family emergency required a $7,500 loan. I managed logistics for a Fortune 500 company for 8 years before my promotion. I turn another page, revealing a timeline of transactions matched against their travel dates. Did you really think I wouldn't notice systematic theft? Tessa's face flushes red. These were loans between family members. Nothing illegal about that. Loans require consent from both parties whose money is being taken. I reply, turning to the next section. Here's what my lawyer calls pattern and practice 20. 6 instances where you discussed my money as if it were exclusively Miles to give. Miles' confident facade cracks slightly. Your lawyer? On cue, the doorbell rings. I check my watch right on time. That would be her now. When I return with Sharon Peterson, attorney at law, Miles has loosened his tie and Tessa is frantically texting someone, Carter, probably, with more lies. Let's cut to the chase, Sharon says, placing her briefcase on the table next to my binder. We've prepared settlement terms requiring full financial restitution. She slides documents across the table. Miles skims the first page, his face paling. This is ridiculous. Thalia's overreacting to some family loans. Family loans? I lean forward. Is that what you called them when you were drinking champagne in Aspen while I worked 60-hour weeks to earn that bonus you spent? Tessa suddenly stands, grabbing the documents. With a theatrical flourish, she tears them in half, then quarters. Paper fragments flutter to the floor like confetti. There, problem solved. Her smile is triumphant as she drops back onto the sofa. Sharon doesn't react except to raise an eyebrow. She removes her tablet from her briefcase and taps the screen. Our television flickers to life, displaying the same documents now projected from the cloud storage where we'd secured them. As I was saying, Sharon continues smoothly, the settlement requires full restitution of $95,300 taken without consent, plus $15,000 in legal fees. Miles stares at the screen, then at me. For the first time, I see something new in his eye sphere. You can't prove anything, he whispers, but the certainty has drained from his voice. Page 17 shows the court orders we've already obtained for your banking records. I say quietly. Page 21 shows the communications between you and Tessa planning what you called the next withdrawal strategy. Sharon taps her tablet again. We've also prepared documentation for your employer's ethics committee, which will only submit if payment isn't received according to the schedule outlined in Section 4. Miles sinks into the armchair, suddenly looking smaller than I've ever seen him. You planned all this? I learned from the best, I answer. Later that evening, after Miles packs an overnight bag and leaves for a hotel, I wander through the house I loved but now feels tainted. In the study, empty spaces on the wall show where family photos once hung. He's taken those but left my photography awards displayed prominently on the bookshelf. A small act of spite that oddly makes me smile. My phone buzzes with a text from Lucas. HR called Miles in for a meeting tomorrow. Rumor is they're transferring him to the Boise office after the ethics review. I run my fingers along the crown molding Miles once claimed sold him on the house. The wood feels different now, not like a prison, but like a reminder that beautiful things can come with hidden costs. And sometimes, when the cards fall, you discover you're stronger than the house you built your dreams around. 6 months later, morning sunlight pours through floor-to-ceiling windows of my downtown Portland condo, casting geometric patterns across polished concrete floors. No creaky floorboards, no crown molding that once sold Miles on our craftsman home. This 23rd floor sanctuary belongs entirely to Medid, mortgage, and all. I sip coffee from a handmade mug I purchased at the Saturday market, reviewing quarterly projections for my new regional territory. Since my promotion to VP last month, I've been restructuring logistics chains across 3 states rather than managing other people's messes. The notification from my investment app reminds me my portfolio rebalancing finished overnight, diversified across emerging tech, established healthcare, and sustainable energy. Never again will my financial security depend on someone else's honesty. My phone rings. Lucas. Good morning, I answer, smiling at the parallel to that devastating call 6 months ago. Everything okay? Just checking in. Mom wanted to know if you're still coming for dinner Sunday. Wouldn't miss it. I trace my finger along the edge of my coffee mug. You know, I never properly thanked you for calling me that morning. It hurt like hell, but it opened my eyes. You're doing all right now, though? I glance at my calendar, where I've blocked Thursday evening for the financial literacy workshop I'm teaching at the community center. Better than all right. I'm helping other women recognize financial manipulation before they lose everything. After hanging up, I adjust my blazer and check the time. My small dinner gathering starts in an hour. Lucas and Carter are coming, along with Sandra, the attorney whose ruthless precision helped me reclaim what was mine. The doorbell rings early. Carter stands there holding a bottle of champagne and a small potted plant. I know it's not housewarming traditional, he says, but I figured you've had enough flowers that die after a week. I welcome him inside, taking the plant, a small jade with glossy leaves, something that grows stronger with time. I like the metaphor. Later, as we all raise glasses around my sleek dining table, Sandra offers a toast to recognizing the difference between a house and a home. And to boundaries, I add, both legal and personal. After dinner, while Lucas helps Sandra with her coat, Carter joins me at the window overlooking the city lights. I unfold the architectural plans. I've been reviewing my first investment property, a duplex in a developing neighborhood. Breaking ground next month? He asks, studying the blueprints. If permits come through on schedule. My phone chimes with an email notification, final confirmation of my keynote at next month's regional leadership conference. His fingers brush mine as we both reach to turn the page. The contact sends a quiet warmth up my arm, nothing like the desperate need I once felt for Miles' approval. Dinner again next week? Carter asks, his voice carefully neutral. Just us, maybe? As I welcome the possibility in his eyes, I wonder if relationships built from shared wounds can truly heal into something stronger, or if sometimes the wisest path forward is complete independence. What would you choose? Embracing new possibilities with someone who understands your pain, or building a life entirely on your own terms? I fold the blueprints and smile. Either way, I'll be standing on ground that's mine alone.